I didn't say to you when we were talking before the podcast began that I actually found your Twitter feed pretty scary in the run up to the 2016 election. And there were times I had to look away from it, not because I didn't think what you were saying was accurate, but precisely because I did. I thought you were very clear-eyed in a lot of the things that you were seeing. And in hindsight, it seems to me that there were two separate ways that the conversations that were happening back at that moment were occurring. I feel like some people, pundits and a lot of people on the political left, were hearing one conversation, and supporters of President Trump were hearing a completely different conversation. And I'm wondering if you could help reconcile those two conversations for me.
Thinking about 2016?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that I was clear-eyed because I'm not a specialist in U.S. history, and I'm a first-generation American. And so the conversation at home growing up and what I chose to study was more global. And so I was able to look at the States, what was happening with a kind of through the lens of global autocracy, and having studied fascism and propaganda for so long. And it made perfect sense to me that there was this framework. And so that set me apart from many people, including some of the media, who had democracy as their default and their only paradigm. And so they were slow to catch on to what Trump was doing. And this is how in the media we got the both sides, giving both sides, because they were working with a framework of democracy, and you can't blame them, that's all they knew. But I looked at it from a different point of view, and that's what led to my analyses. And I'm so sorry that I've been right about everything, because as you say, it's quite dire. And sometimes I would scare myself. There were a couple of early CNN op-eds I did that were, kind of forecasts. And one of them which CNN entitled Trump and Bannon's Coup in the Making, about striking at the state. I had to go and do yoga in the middle of writing it, which is unusual because it was very, very clear to me what was happening, but it was also quite terrifying.
And I feel to some degree you were shouting into a void, precisely because people didn't have that framework, they might have seen it as scaremongering when in fact you were seeing a pattern that you've seen throughout the world. And one of the things I really liked about Strongmen, your book, is that you dissected a lot of different authoritarian types, from Mussolini, Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, Vladimir Putin, and others. And one of the things that became very clear is, yes, we could look back with horror on what occurred during their regimes in some cases, but at first, many of them were very popular. And what is it about their rhetoric and their appeal that gets such popularity, at least at the beginning?
One of the purposes of writing the book was to look for patterns, because I am a historian, and look at what has changed and what has stayed the same. And the evolution part's really important, because I'm not saying that Berlusconi is like Hitler, is like Mobutu. That would be ahistorical and silly. But there are patterns that recur. And one of them is when a society has had a lot of change socially, could be workers' rights, could be like, of course, after World War I, both communism and fascism came out of this wrenching dislocations of World War I. But many other times, for example, America had 8 years of an African-American president. We had the legalization of same-sex marriage. We had the start of full women into combat in the military. And these were changes that some people felt were long overdue, and others felt were just the end of everything. It was like the apocalypse. And so we were the latest country to have the set of circumstances necessary to acclaim a figure like the strongman. And part of their appeal is that they promise to fix they read the political market, and they will be whatever people need them to be. And so they're opportunists. And so Trump realized there was this like the forgotten people who were very angry about change, people who were racist and didn't perhaps want to say it out loud, and he would be their voice. So they read the market and they will be what you need them to be. And then they promise greatness, these kind of facile glories. So they make the nation great, but it's also making it great again because they have nostalgia. So this is where people don't like what's going on. They want things to be the way they used to be. So make the nation great again.
Thanks for watching this video clip of the Speak Good podcast. If you'd like to hear the complete episode, please check out your favorite podcast directory and subscribe now. Thanks for watching.